Hello,
everyone. Ger Hoey here for this week's edition of Hopping the Ball. I'm delighted to be joined again by Willie. Willie, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Last week, even though Kevin did a good enough job now sitting in your place there.
Yeah,
it's better than him, Ger. Joking, really.
The old Arsenal interjection there. There's no bitterness there. Anyway,
speaking of the
great to be back.
Interjection, Pat Hickey is in the chair as well, and also Johnny Healy. Johnny, you're very welcome back.
Good night,
Okay, before we start this week, folks, I just want to do a bit of a promo on the Scariff Community Radio calendar 2023. It's just hot off the presses. It's for sale in good local shops in East Clare, and members of the Scariff Community Radio Volunteer Force also have them for sale. $5 each. They make a great gift. The pictures this year are sporting nature. And on the cover, we have two fine-looking gentlemen in Leo and Pat, concentrating hard on matches, and inside are the photographs from the sporting year from an East Clare perspective. Again, thanks to Ruth Griffin for the brilliant photographs, and for Hogan Computers for the design and layout. So, everybody, get a copy of this calendar for yourselves for the year, and it's only $5. Okay, so lads, we'll bounce straight into the action for the. I suppose it's nearly one of our last programmes of 2022 with lads, or will we have another one? Well, anyway, we'll see how we go. Pat, will we start with rugby?
Yeah, Ger, the last week we'll talk about the last week of the league first before the Champions Cup started last weekend, just to cover that since our last show. Munster went off to Scotland and beat Edinburgh 38-17.
Had a bad start.
After a bad start. Edinburgh aren't great now, but Munster needed to win badly. They need to climb up the table. They were in a precarious position there after a bad start to the season. Connacht were over with Benetton, and they beat them 38-19. Another indication of Connacht's up and down season, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, again, as you said last time, and we're saying all year for the last 2 years, inconsistency. And like, if you look at the Munster result, they did start bad, but it's something I've seen with this Munster side. If they start very well and put up X number of points on the board, they fail to add to it. If you look at some of the league fixtures, even at home and tournament, they fail to add in the second half.
Yeah.
So it was good to see the result there. And again, it was good to see Connacht's result away,
Yeah.
Because they're a decent side, it's just they're not consistent enough.
Yeah, and the big game that weekend, Ger, was Leinster and Ulster above in Dublin. And for 3/4 of the game, it looked like Ulster were going to win it. They were actually 22-3 up at one stage. But despite the fact that Cian Healy was red carded after 21 minutes, Leinster made a tremendous comeback, and they won it 38-29. So Ulster really, I'd have thought, with the extra men and all, and the fact that they were well in front, with the commanding lead and the extra man, that they would have held on and won that match. I'd say they were very disappointed with it. Subsequently, Cian Healy's suspension was overruled or rescinded. Yeah, he was back, and it was harsh enough, I suppose, but the referee, I can't remember who refed it, but he gave him a straight red anyway. But like you say, he appealed it, and he was back for the Champions Cup the following week. Yeah. So Leinster are still continuing to lead the table. Munster, a couple of good wins now in the last 2 games, so they've moved up a few places.
And the last game played in a fog.
In a fog, yeah.
But a good crowd, huh?
Yeah, and a good performance against a great team, to be fair.
And it was ideal preparation for the teams for the Champions Cup that started last weekend. And sure, I suppose the result of the weekend had to be Leinster's demolition of Racing.
You could see that Leinster win the game, but not by the margin they won it by,
Especially missing Sexton and Furlong.
Yeah, 2 serious players.
Yeah. They scored 6 tries, Ger, and Racing scored 1.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be very close, because Racing they're run by the mercurial figure, they say, of Finn Russell.
Yeah.
He makes them tick.
That's right, he does, yeah.
But at the same time, like over in France as well, and also they had the chaos at the travel arrangements with the bad weather.
That's right, yeah.
No, not as bad as Ulster's.
No.
I felt sorry for Ulster, Ger. They went to sail. Johnny, they scored nothing and were paid 39-0. But they came in 3 different groups to the match.
That's right.
Complete disruption.
How would you be focused on the match?
And the funny thing was, it was only later when I heard about what happened. For the life of me, I couldn't when I saw the result, I couldn't believe. I said, Ulster, they're not that bad. They are not that bad. They're a decent side.
Yeah.
But to be beat that much, But then I when I read into what went on and behind the scenes and whatever have you, I said, is it any wonder?
Not any surprise.
That they were beaten.
But all those teams, don't they? They have a set match day approach, where you do X, Y, Z, and everything was disrupted, and then players travelling different ways was crazy. You know what I mean? I know to some people they'll say, I was sure they just travelled over and they trained during the week, but it's not. It's not like that.
No,
and it is a big disruption, and they already were up against it going there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was a pity. It was a shocking defeat. Then you know.
Like myself and Joe would know this through the referees when they came to us through Crow Park. They brought in Alan Roland and he explained just how the referees work for the Champions. We still call it the Champions League. I do anyway, rugby. The referees for those fixtures are in the country. So if somebody coming from France or wherever to referee in Ireland, be it Munster, be it Leinster, wherever, they're in the country 48 hours. 48 hours before the game. So there's no messing up. There's no missing flights. There's no nothing. He's in the country 48 hours, and it takes. We're asking roughly how many officials does it take? Now, when they say officials, just give you the heads up on it. On one of them is that one of them is a bus driver, bus driver. He picks everyone up at the airport. So it takes 50. I think there's 15. They told us in total. To look after a rugby
match.
Yeah. So that's officials you're talking about.
Yes,
so imagine a team.
So you can see the disarray that was with us, and I felt so sorry for him when I read about it after. You know,
and compounded in to get such a
hammering, and that is a hammering.
To score nothing,
score nothing, exactly, Pat.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah, they'll kill any team.
But even just to go back to the Leinster game, Pat, for a sec, I mean, when they get you on the back foot, they will absolutely steamroll you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly in patches is what they did.
Yeah, Ross Borden played very well.
Good to see.
Very good kicking game as well for him.
Good to see, he's in the shadows.
Yeah.
He's in the shadows.
Definitely.
Long enough,
And last year, just to mention, they were pipped in the final, and everyone's saying when are they going to get this next year? But they've laid down a marker, haven't they? We're coming again. We've parked that.
Yeah.
They're a fantastic side.
Yeah. The only thing that would worry you is Willie Rochelle played Northampton,
right?
And Northampton are good. If they hammered them, they beat them 46-12. Now O'Gara's got off to a good start there with defending their title.
Yeah.
They had no place in the squad for Alton Deland. They signed him there. He didn't make the squad. So they have a fierce depth.
Right.
And they have big men, so they'll be hard to beat in the Champions Cup this season again.
Well, good. You don't want it to be written that.
No, but Leinster will be thereabouts. There's no doubt about that. Now, I watched Munster and Munster and Toulouse from Limerick on Sundays on RTE. Jeez, I don't know whether it was the lights. There was foggy. Well, I know there was fog there.
Anyway,
but whether the lights, the reflection on the lights.
Well, I had a lad. He was at it, and he was saying that it was impossible from there. It was impossible on television, and there was talk before whether it was going to be played. And I was listening to Keith Wood talking about it after us on News Talk. And he was saying that the lads at the far side of the field were complaining about the referee's decision, and he said, I can't tell you whether they were right to complain or not, because he said I couldn't see a thing. So that's just a measure of the way it was,
Looking at the game, I'd say Toulouse, they were very conservative in what they did.
They were. The first meaningful take they scored. Sure.
They were letting Munster have the ball, and they weren't going into contact, So when you look at the way they played, and you see the amount of ball that Munster knocked on, turnovers, they won't be too pleased with that, but you can be sure you won't see the same thing happening this coming weekend. So they won't be afraid to have. Look, that French side was packed with international players,
When you lose a game like that, and you pick on those things, and rightly so, but overall, I think Munster are a work in progress now, change of management, and they're going about things their own way. They'll be pleased with, there'll no team admit, especially Munster, were pleased with losing, and especially at home. Yeah. But things are coming together for them, those errors that I'm sure they'll be working on, and I'm sure they'll get it right. But overall, their performance was a pretty good performance against the side who'll go anywhere and will give anybody trouble. No doubt.
Yeah. I suppose, like any team that has Antoine Dupont
Well, you look at they rarely mention names now. It's only always number. You look at the 9 and 10 and 15 the way they played last week.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it's an international side, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah. Too.
Yeah.
But again, in fairness to the head coach, Munster head coach, like he did give credit where credit was due. He praised the team, when he was interviewed after, and he highlighted the couple of little things, that kind of went awry in him, and he said at least we have something to work on for the next day, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
And usually Keith Wood is very harsh on Munster, with his background and everything, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Do there was a lot of stuff. No, he did go with the stuff we were talking about, the negatives, but he saw a lot of positive, and when you hear it coming from the likes of Keith Wood, like, he's not waxing lyrical, the way some pundits come on because they're from somewhere, but like Keith is more likely to give him a dig than, so I thought it was very positive, and like, he certainly knows a lot more about it than I do anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. He was.
And the 4th province for out Connacht in the second tier competition, they beat Sale 22-8.
That's right.
So they have a good start in that. Like, you'd expect them to win at home anyway.
Yeah.
You would, but again, like, it's 2 wins in a row for Connacht again. So you'll be hoping and praying that they'll get a bit of momentum from it. Like,
It should be an interesting tussle between Leicester and Gloucester this Friday night now, and.
No love lost there, let me tell you.
Last there, and Johnny on the bench.
Yeah. And Ulster have welcome O'Gara to.
They do. No, there's a query over the pitch.
Yeah,
there is. There's a query over the pitch. Yes, with the north of Ireland getting so much frost, really.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I heard it being looked at, and I think even before the frost, the pitch surface hasn't been great.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that Dublin venue is on standby. That's right.
Okay.
Well, it would be available with Leinster.
Leinster
playing Friday night, so it would be available Saturday.
Yeah. It may move.
Yeah. Northampton are playing Munster, so that's a tough one as well.
Yeah.
Northampton at home.
Yeah. They'd be difficult to beat, alright. But I would expect Munster to win it at the same time.
Yeah. And Connacht travel to Brive.
Yeah.
And that's Friday night as well, so they'll be looking to make it 3 wins in a row.
It'll be an interesting game, that one.
Yeah, it will.
To be fair.
Yeah, Connacht, there's a bit of uncertainty there, Ger, with Andy Friend leaving at the end of the season, so they'll be up, there'll be lads, when you coach, I know he's head of the whole thing now, he's not really hands-on coaching, but when someone leaves, that's the figurehead, it's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose the other thing, Pat, there, I suppose we shouldn't forget to mention is Bundyaki, was missing for those last 2 games they've played.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's back this weekend.
Which is a major boost.
It's a huge boost to Connacht, huge. And
of course, Mac Hansen is playing great stuff as well. Carrying on from where he did with Ireland.
Yeah, so good to see. Yeah. The other thing about the safety also game, it's lovely to see that they try and organise an alternative, because you're gearing yourself up for a game, and you don't need to have an extra game, with say shortly after Christmas or around Christmas or whatever, So it's lovely to see that they will have an alternative pitch to play the game on.
And it's an exciting weekend as well, and you're talking about all those games, and you want to see them going ahead, don't you?
Definitely.
Well, to be fair, so far, if we'll remove the foggy game, but to be fair, if you look at some of the games that were played the weekend, there was some very good rugby played in it. Some great scores got.
It was, definitely.
Yeah. So they have people back watching.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to for the Champions Cup before they break up for the Six Nations, after a couple of more rounds of it. The Six Nations will take first in for February and March. So it's all a start of the build up towards the World Cup in earnest.
Yes.
The Six Nations. I suppose, Ger, before we leave rugby, England parted company with Jones. 7 years in the job. Now it is rumoured he's the job lined up in the States. They didn't qualify for next year's World Cup at all.
No.
But they're hosting one in a few years' time.
That's right.
And he's supposed to have got a deal to take him to that World Cup. So
they're not far off it, they'll get that World Cup. They'll definitely do well.
I was a small bit surprised they didn't make it. They're a decent enough side, to be fair to them.
Yeah.
They've come a long way over
the years.
But
if they fail to qualify, there's a certain amount of countries that you'd expect America are better than Spain and
they were barely pipped, Pat.
I know they weren't, but they were still pipped. And I suppose, Ger, we mentioned the last time about O'Gara been on the shortlist for the England job.
We did.
And he's now subsequently pulled out of it when he was in the final 3. And he subsequently got an upgrade in his job with
Never
La Rochelle,
Rochelle.
an extension to 2000. Is it 27?
Think so, yeah. But the thing about it is, Pat, we'll never know whether he was going to get that job or not. Look, lovely. Well, being an Irishman, I wouldn't
Johnny,
like to
you're on
see
your
him
own there with the lovely.
no, but in the final three, we'll never know whether he was going to get that job or not, whether it was going to be him or not, The other thing about it is, I think it was about the English in any sport are absolutely ruthless. It's results you're governed by. And like when you see the English for the last, we'll say 12 months even, when you see the results, like they will not be happy
not
with those
improving,
results.
Johnny.
And they were slipping down the ladder.
I think Jones stayed too long.
Yeah.
I mean, the players get fed up and listen to the same voice. He's 7 years there. Like
I would imagine there'll some stories start to emerge now from England camp as well about.
But the only thing about it is that even when he was interviewed, he always seemed to have a kind of I always found him as a bit of a smart aleck if he was asked the awkward question. As to his quick reply,
Well, he always had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Wouldn't be popular on this side of the world.
He came up with that great expression, Ger, about the finishers.
He did.
For a few seasons, last couple of seasons, and then the last time I think they were playing Ireland were going well. He's overplaying the scummy Irish last.
That's right.
I didn't like that, but he kind of looked down on Ireland. He begrudgingly gave him credit in when
But he was disliked.
But other than that, he's a nice man.
He was disliked.
I think Steve Bortwick he's the Leicester coach at the moment. He's odds on to get the job. Scott Robinson is the other candidate that was in the final three with O'Gara. Now, whether, as you say, O'Gara was only using it to get more or Rochelle, I don't know.
I prefer that story.
He famously.
I'd imagine that would be a lot of it. No, having said that, Willie, he would be dead right because he's a high quality coach and has done well with La Rochelle, so therefore he should be in the mix.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, you look at the other two candidates, two very good coaches.
Yeah.
Homegrown is in England.
Absolutely. Would know the game inside out in England.
I think listen to what commentators are saying. That's what England
that's what it would come.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about it. England have a huge pool to pick from.
Oh God,
and always had. There was no excuse for him not really doing. You know what I mean? It's actually it's a kind of a just. Not liking to bring in another sport we're talking about this, but it's kind of like the Man City or the Premier League, isn't it? They always had the biggest pool and they should be doing well.
Yeah, exactly. So
more rugby to come in there.
More to come now in the next few weeks. Champions Cup, Ger.
Okay. So we'll move on to soccer, Pat. We're in the height of the World Cup. How many of our teams are left? Mine is gone anyway. Brazil.
Mine is gone.
Mine is gone as well. I went for Brazil.
Yeah.
Disappointed Brazil exited Ger after Neymar scoring a great goal. Croatia got the late equaliser, and then for some reason Brazil decided to leave Neymar to take the fifth penalty, and he didn't even get to take a penalty.
I thought it ludicrous.
Yeah, they too.
That's the consensus, Johnny.
Should have been in the first two, if not the first three.
And
I think how many times have we seen that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think a few of the pundits then had a bit of a set to. They were saying that was the type that Neymar was. I think actually it was Liam Brady said that would be Neymar. He'd want to be last to score the winner. A couple of the boys came down on him over it, but it isn't often I agree with Liam Brady. But
in the previous round when they won it, Roy Keane was on about the dancing. Do you remember he caused fierce furore?
Yeah.
And he said he admired Brazil, but he was all this dance about. I thought I was watching Strictly. He said but that's their tradition,
No, but what he did say was, I think, to be fair to Keane, I think he's somebody, for all he's won, he doesn't like arrogance, and he was saying, okay, you're delighted, I don't mind the dancing for the first goal, maybe the second goal, but he said then they were still at it at the fourth goal. He thought it was disrespectful to the other team. I kind of a little bit agree with it.
I would agree with him, really.
Like
be
generally,
humble,
it's a great World Cup, I think, despite all the controversies surrounding it.
Yeah.
But one interesting fact, I was looking it up, Ger, just after the group stages. Brazil lost their last match 1-0 to Cameroon. They were already through, obviously, but it meant for the first time ever in the World Cup history, no team managed to pick up maximum points from the groups. That never happened before.
Well done.
And Danny Alves, he played at 39, the oldest outfield player ever to play for Brazil.
39, like, you know,
Yeah.
this is a brilliant age.
Yeah.
But as we're looking at the three. Elvis will be one, Modric will be the other. Sean. And when you look at Mr. Messi, like Messi in the quarter-final, Mother of Divine God Almighty, the energy and the pace of him in the last 20 minutes was frightening.
And just to bring it back, Pat, you've given us loads of stats on Ronaldo, you know, and rightly so, and you know, some of the stuff to be admired, but over the last couple of months I think he's done his legacy a lot of damage. His antics, not just in the World Cup, but there's a couple of things in the Premier League, and he led on from there.
When he was substituted there, he was shaking the head and he wouldn't go near the manager. The manager left him off at the last 2 games.
That's right, yeah. So it's happening everywhere. And you know,
Roy finds nothing wrong with that. Roy never criticised Ronaldo. No.
Yeah, which is, I find it strange for a fella like him who's very straight-laced, and in fairness, I like a lot of his comments, but I found that very strange because for me, the making up of I was sitting and I was thinking about this, and you know, there's actually pages dedicated to whether Messi or Ronaldo is the better, which is I think, you know, there's Pele, there's Maradona, you know, there's Johan Cruyff. We're privileged to see all of them at their best. But I think when you consider somebody, you consider their skills, but you also consider that there's young people looking up to them and how they conduct themselves and all that.
Roy Keane describes Ronaldo as a proper professional. A proper professional doesn't go on like the way Ronaldo has gone on. For substitutions, you wish the person coming on feel the best to look.
Like if you look at it,
sit down with the rest of the subs.
If you look at it playing in the Premiership, there's some players they just do not like being substituted. They seem to think, like, you know, do you realise who I am when I've been taken off? And unfortunately, all the managers cannot be wrong in relation to Ronaldo. So something has to be right.
And if you want to put that on the flip side, and I have to say, like, huge admiration for him. Look at Modric. No, if you want a model professional, like, okay, people are going to say Ronaldo or Messi better than him, but I'll tell you, there isn't too many better than Modric. He was always a joy to watch, and like, he's conducted himself even afterwards.
Exactly, really, is how he carries himself.
He actually didn't just sit afterwards. I watched him when they were beaten, but he walked back out to meet players and all. You know what I mean? Realising that, like,
do you know what was very surprising though, Ger? Kevin De Bruyne came out with a statement there that Belgium were too old to win the World Cup. It was unusual. It's caused unrest within the camp. And
one of his defenders then, when they lost the game, said that maybe we were too old up front for to have a go back at him.
And he had a very poor World Cup by his standards.
Yeah, but between the two of them, he had a go, but Jermaine had a go back then, not directly to him, but they both went out in the media. He said that maybe we were too old. Jermaine, one of the defenders, I don't know who it was,
Toby Eller,
but he felt that it was having a go at them that he was. So then when they lost the game, they missed a load of chances, and Jermaine came back with the quip that maybe we were too old up front.
But will you look, you
not great for a team then.
Well, not for morale anyway.
No.
And the other side of it is when you have a keeper and the likes of De Bruyne and they're not talking, they haven't spoken in 2 or 3 or 4 years.
I didn't.
But you're
all over a female.
Oh, well, that can happen, Johnny.
You can, Johnny.
They were ranked second in the world going into it, Belgium.
They were.
And Martinez didn't hang around afterwards. So I think they're looking for Vincent Kompany now, but he's reluctant to.
They were very poor. Very, very poor.
Lukaku missed a hatful of chances there. Incredible, some of the misses.
But it's ironic, he has to get 5 or 6 chances to score 2. You know, he really has no.
But he's another prima donna as well. Lukaku, you know. Gets in his head as well. If he misses, it'll probably be your fault that you didn't give him the proper ball, you know.
He gave the Premiership 3 shots and it never worked out for him at any given time, like, you know. Between United and Chelsea,
and lads, after the first round, like 5 at the top 15 ranked teams failed to get out of the group. Like that rarely happened in the World Cup. Germany, Denmark, Belgium, Uruguay and Mexico.
It's very unusual in fairness for the Germans not to qualify.
No, Willie, being a Liverpool supporter, there was a lot of hype around Suarez in the last match. But like, I think they were regarded. I think they were denied 2 Stonewall penalties, and they only needed one of them to get through. They were only out on goal difference.
I agree with you.
There's 4 of their players facing suspension. Now, I don't think one of the 4 is
Suarez. No, I saw the carry on, but I have to say, and they were regarded, I think.
I thought they were too.
But you can't do what they were doing either. It was kind of mafia stuff. They were manhandling the referee.
One lad elbowed a 4th official. He's facing a 15 game.
I saw it. It was crazy stuff, and they are crazy. You know, that side of their game is very ugly, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, some of their club games have been horrific, like, you know.
But they're players as well. And I'm a
struck.
Liverpool fan, but I mean, some of Suarez's behaviour was just unreal. You have to hold your hands up. And
I suppose before we go any further, Pat, to be fair, some of the refereeing
it was crazy.
has been very, very poor on average.
Well, I can't understand it.
Johnny, last Saturday night, a stonewall penalty for Harry Kane, and the ref allowed plays to continue for 3 minutes. And then he goes over to the monitor.
Well, he was asked to look at it himself,
and points like as if.
But I can't for the life of me within 30 seconds. But Pat, I can't understand within 30 seconds. They're so supposed to be. They show the room before every game, and the amount of them they're inside, and the amount of monitors they have. For the life of me, within 30 seconds, they haven't contacted the referee to ask him to have a look.
All I can think is that it's so huge, the World Cup, and every eye is on them, that they're going through every angle trying to get it right, so nobody will have a finger pointing at them. And by doing all this, everyone's pointing the finger at them.
No, unfortunately, the France-England game, and they didn't highlight it at that point, but I've seen it 3 or 4 times. I actually thought it was a free to England that led to the French goal, the first goal. He was on the right hand side, down at the right hand. I thought your man went through him. They broke up the field and they scored from it. Now, the English one kind of a little bit wild over the left, but I actually thought.
Have you ancestors or the English?
No. I've been honest. I was shouting for France against England, but that's neither here nor there. It's another day. But to be fair, I actually did think it was a free to England, but it was not. Look at somebody gives some you don't.
I think Roddy Collins told a very good story about it. They were out some functionaries, but they were watching the match first, and he was sitting beside a fella that supports Spurs. A very passionate sports supporter. He had a tattoo of Harry Kane on his arm, and he said when Harry Kane missed his second penalty, he leapt up to the air, 20 feet into the air, he claimed. Just goes to show the mentality of people. They support English clubs. England were on 400 grand to win the World Cup. Now, I said the last day I was hoping they wouldn't win it, and that, but you'd have a vicious sympathy for them. They looked the better team against France.
And it's ironic because the way things were falling and all the big guns that were falling, especially. I kept saying game after game, this is falling into place for England, you know. But and to be fair, give credit where credit is due. I thought at times they played better football than France.
A lot of the time, Johnny.
But Johnny, they could easily have won the European Championships and won the World Cup in the last.
I can't disagree with
that. But
I
have to say that their group was pretty handy.
They didn't really beat anyone, really, by consequence.
Well, when you look at the results, even for the last 8 years, 12 years, whatever, they haven't beaten Argentina, they haven't beaten Germany, they haven't beaten Belgium.
And here's the other kicker against France, you know, like it was 2 penalties. They didn't create anything from open play. Like they're not ruthless enough, you know what I mean?
Really, the funny thing is, if Senegal had Mania, they'd have taken the lead against England convincingly.
Without doubt.
They were all over them for the 30 minutes.
Whether they were being too conservative, I don't know, but you go back to the game against America, England. America played very, very good football.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They hadn't, unfortunately. They were a trifle unlucky not to win that game.
And sure,
you know,
Iran were very poor.
Sure, they were cannon fodder, weren't they? I mean, they should have been courageous enough to go out and, you know. From the start. And Neuer's goal against Croatia put him on equal goals with the great Pele. Pele isn't great. He's not good.
No, he's not the poor devil.
So, Neuer, with Brazil being out, Neuer missed a chance of another game, another goal to take the lead in that area. But French, I think France, Argentina final. I like France. I'd like to see Messi win a World Cup.
I don't think anyone will begrudge him a World Cup. You know, he sets the place alight. You know, when he's on the ball, because you just don't know what he's going to do with it next.
What about Oliver Giroud? People say he's a donkey. He's now the top French scorer in history. But he wouldn't be playing only Benzema's out.
That's the other side of it. And
Benzema has never been taken after a panel.
No, he might be in for Sunday.
So they're bringing him back for the final.
Well,
the other side of that, Petties, as well, was when you look at Giroud, we said there was Arsenal. Whatever was going on at Arsenal, the man is on fire when he puts on the international jersey. He's absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
Well, he caused anyone any problems anyway.
He scored a few goals
to be fair, his header against England, and I thought McGrath didn't do a whole pile wrong, but Jesus, was just his instinct just to get that little
and he
flick.
has that instinct.
But he should have 2 goals scored last night.
Should have, but you look, isn't it better miss him in a semi-final than in a final?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that France have got as far as here, and they haven't. They've maybe scored a goal, then defended. They're actually a little bit boring to watch.
He has 4 goals, and Messi and Mbappe has 5 going into the final.
The other side,
the other
side, if you look at the French squad, the 3 players they're missing, Le Sulk, like Pogba.
Yeah.
As you say, Benzema
and they lost the 4th earlier trade.
That's right, yeah. And just to mention for Morocco, I thought, you know what, if they had a decent striker, and I think one of their strikers got a yellow card or got a red card in the last one.
He missed out.
And they're the first African nations team to get to that stage.
But I thought they created 4 or 5 chances at a period in the second half.
You'd watch them.
Surely they should have scored.
No,
very good to watch.
Okay, what I liked about it was when they went to goal down, I thought they actually played, it was the best they have played.
Yeah.
Heretofore would say they were playing a blanket wall and next thing to try and hit you on the counter attack. But last night now, in the second half, I was watching and I thought they played quite well,
And the fellow I picked
and great
out
to see that they got there.
I don't know his name, but I thought a right back. No, they have a midfield general there. I don't know what his name, but he played pretty well. But I thought a right back last night was superb.
The keeper was very good all up along,
But Ger, I looked up with Harry Kane missing the penalty. He has 60 out of 70 converted between club and country, so he's a fair record from the penalty spot. But I still maintain they should have changed the kicker.
I agree,
because I think Lloris being a teammate, he was going to go for the same side anyway.
He second guessed why he was avoided
this time to roof it, and it ballooned over the bar. It was gone over the bar from the time it left his boot. It was rising.
It was extra pressure, which remembered his teammate.
I don't know. Did any see there was 2 doing their own the social media? One of them not so nice, and one of them was Johnny Wilkinson, and kicking the penalty rugby.
But then the other one, above all people to happen to, do you know what? He's probably one of the nicer English fellas, Harry Kane. To be honest,
I did after the game.
He was adjusting the socks before it showed how nervous he was.
That's all nerves. Yeah, you're trying to second guess him because he's, he knows what way you're playing as well, and that all plays in your mind.
Maybe when it comes to that, with his teammates facing each other.
Maybe he should have blasted down the middle, but sure, it's easy to be wise afterwards.
No, in fairness, he's taken some. Look, would I give him to him? If he missed it, then we'd be saying the same thing now that we said about Kane. I thought he may have given it to Rashford.
Yeah, see, every international team should have 3 or 4 decent penalty takers anyway.
Yeah,
most of them have, to be fair. But I suppose if he's a designated penalty taker, then
I suppose going back to club level, I remember United penalty taker was their outstanding right back, Dinny Irwin. Now he missed a couple, but in general, he scored 19 out of 20.
And a good free kick taker.
Yeah, he was indeed.
But sure, Willie, I was surprised for the previous game in Argentina where Van Dijk came up to take the first penalty.
Crazy, and oh my God,
was the first 2, sure.
Yeah, but whose call was that?
Whose call is that, right?
I don't know, sure.
I'd imagine he was captain. Imagine he was captain. He said, "I'll do it."
But
showing leadership, really.
Yeah, and I think it all backfired on him.
After 2 penalties, no one scored.
But the other thing is, surely to God, you go to a World Cup and you're saying, lads, we've got to be prepared from the word go. Some of these games could go to penalties. Do you know, as we go forward.
Well, after coming back from 2 goals down, the first person I'd have got to take the penalty was your penalty taker, and you're hoping let's get 1-0 up.
Yeah.
But wasn't the last goal that Holland scored to equalise something else? Who would have thought they'd come out with something like that?
Yeah.
You know.
To be fair.
The Dutch always have something, don't they?
Yeah. Neuer,
yeah.
He went off skiing after going home and he broke his leg. He's out for the rest of the season. Bayern won't be happy now.
His club won't be happy.
No.
Tell you that.
You know.
It's a risky sport.
Apparently it was a bad break as well.
Yeah. We saw what happened to poor Schumacher, and now him, luckily enough, not as bad,
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Do you know,
so as the fella says, dims the brakes.
Yeah. But a lot of the English lads, some of them went to join their clubs, others went away about their own, went off on their own, and the rest of them, some went back, then they were flown back in a private jet to Birmingham, so they fragmented fairly quickly after the. But what struck me, Ger, was they had a fierce spirit between themselves, compared to the previous teams.
To be fair, you could see it.
Yeah, you could see it. Yeah.
Even among the substitutes, you could
Saka
see it.
was
Like,
very good for England.
He was a joy to watch, to be honest.
Do you know, and Bellingham, he's valuable up through the roof.
Absolutely, yeah.
The only one you'd have a cause for concern about, he too much to say for himself, was Declan Rice.
Yeah.
He said he brought an empty suitcase with him to
bring
bring
home the
home
World Cup.
and he said it was time to leave West Ham in another media.
Yeah.
I liked a contrast that year with Kylian Mbappe. He refused to take part in press conference and the French FA were fined and he paid it himself, because he said he came here to win the World Cup and he wanted to concentrate on football, not to be any distractions.
What is he, 23, 24?
He was asked about the top score that he wanted to win there. He said, I'm here for France to win. If he win the top score, to be a bonus only, but he wasn't interested.
He's very grounded.
He's grounded
for a
he's
professional.
big man.
He went down the wing last night in the second half twice.
Yeah.
God almighty.
The only thing about him is he kind of stands up in midfield. He goes back as far as midfield. He won't track back.
He's not a grafter.
But he's a world class striker.
Without doubt.
But his footwork is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean the footwork for the second goal.
But in fairness, like it's lovely to hear a player go through those motions and pay the fine himself. I mean,
Yeah. Liverpool will have to delve deep in to get Bellingham in the summer if they want to.
I reckon they'll get him.
Than 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I reckon that they'll get him. I reckon they will do what they have to do to get him, but they're in bigger trouble than that before that, because Jota now is still out. He won't be back till February, and Diaz is after having an operation and he won't be back till March. So come January there's a lot of games coming.
And the big question the question arose there as well, Willie Kelleher played in the League Cup there, saved another penalty shootout, heroics. Like
been
people
good for Ireland.
he should move.
Yeah.
He's probably on decent money.
That's the thing. That's probably
but decent money. If he makes a move, he'll make a lot of money, because he's decent enough to play for a lot of Premier League clubs. Now, on a personal note, I hope he doesn't. But if he goes, you couldn't begrudge that, because he's definitely a big talent.
But like he won't.
But he's been a great. I'll tell you, he's been a great servant to him for the length of time he's been there. Like
he won't get into the Irish team if he stays at Liverpool and is only playing League Cup games.
Because you know what? That's the only place we have a wealth of talent.
And as well as that, he came across as a sound guy on the tie show.
I saw him. Joe, you're right.
Dead on.
Very kind and very polite to the fella.
For you, Willie.
So, Joe, I'm going for Argentina to beat France. There is people suggesting that the referees are a bit lenient towards Messi and he can do what he likes and he can do this and do that. But
speaking of the referee part, the Polish referee is appointed for it. His first World Cup final. His name is Simon Macinek. He's the man in the middle. So
we have a bit of a conflict here on Sunday. It's the same time as Ballygunner and.
Some people will say there's no conflict.
I know, but Shamrocks, that's the game. Like,
but it's a pity that the GAA. They
could have moved it. To be fair,
this was flagged a long time ago. It's a pity. You'd love to see both of them.
What was wrong with playing it at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Or even playing it Saturday.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Like the setting about, I'd love to see both games.
Or earlier, you know what I mean, in the day. It is, and sure, you know what, you don't want to be down on the day. Like some people as well will probably say, look, we're running ours and we're not worried about the World Cup, and that's a fair point too, you know what I mean. But it's a pity.
Both sides should really.
But us here, sure, we're talking about every sport and we love sport. I'd love to see both of them. You know?
Well, especially the two teams that are in it.
Yeah. It's a cracker.
Anyway, you nailed your shot to the match very early there, going with Argentina, so we better all pick someone. Willie?
Argentina for me. I think they're a better all-round team.
At this stage, I'm going Argentina as well, Willie. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be the devil's advocate. I'll go with France. My biggest fear is if it's 0-0 and Messi gets injured in the game.
But I do think Argentina all round are a better side. I think they have.
What way would France approach trying to keep Messi contained?
They probably won't. They'll just play the way they've been playing all along. But as Willie says, they've been a bit on the conservative side up to now, like, you know.
Yeah. And if you invite Argentina on you, and if Argentina get ahead of you, Argentina have it all. They have the cynical stuff as well.
The only thing about it is, this is why I think he could be right. France need to score first.
Yeah.
If Argentina score,
Yeah, and
nice
believe
system.
me, they've more than Messi. This isn't
Oh, God,
the
don't
Messi.
get me wrong.
Well, even up to the last game, you could say, well, how effective was Messi really? You know,
Well, he'll be on the periphery. He walks around,
He does.
but then when he gets the
Then
ball and there's that bit of magic,
magic.
and sometimes when things aren't going for you, you're hoping to have a fella like that. So you're carrying him in that way. So
But you look at
this
the-
isn't the Messi that you're thinking, how are we going to take care of him? So they won't be that worried about him.
And he will be walking around. He will be
Yeah.
waiting for the
Yeah.
break. He will be waiting for the spot.
But you look at the second goal against Croatia. Mother of divine God Almighty.
Just
The ball just stuck to his boot.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Was,
The way he went in landing and just rolled it across. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. A joy to watch at his age.
Yeah.
You know.
To be honest, I like Mbappe as well. I just think the romance in me says I'd like to see Messi win it, and I think they have a team that their defenders are pretty, in fairness, France are well able to defend. They defended for their lives against Morocco, but I think all around they're tougher. They're a more hard-working team, and I think Argentina just have the edge. That's my.
Yeah.
Not sure we'll speak about it
We'll
again.
speak about it, Johnny, again. You could be laughing at the three of us.
I could indeed.
Or it could be eating humble pie head. You know.
All right. So, generally, are we enjoying the World Cup?
I love it anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, and the no part is because of the time of the year it is. I mean, we always, since we were small kids, we always associated the World Cup with the middle of the summer.
Yeah, but I agree with that. But you kind of forget about it when the games are on.
Yeah, you kind of forget about it.
I tell you how much I was enjoying it here. I was suffering withdrawal symptoms last Thursday and Friday. There was no
match on. That's
soccer,
all.
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
When we're so used to.
And did you go to Peppers for a few pints to sort yourself out?
No, I stayed away from the pub.
Would you? Okay.
But I had to be researching for this programme, you see.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Well answered, Pat. There now. Yeah. Let's put us back in our boxes.
Well, no, the only alternative, Pat, is if you wanted to cover the two games Sunday at 3 o'clock, is if there's a watering hole in your part of the woods.
Yeah.
If there's two TVs side by side, you could have an eye in each one, like, you know. How's that?
I tried it at home.
Did you?
With a portable and
Did you?
yeah.
And I take it it did. How did it work, Pat? Here.
Yeah. So when Harry Kane scored the point, you reckon that was okay then?
Yeah, it worked out
When I was watching any of the roar that went up, believe you me, there was structural damage.
Yeah. I don't think, I suppose, Ger, before we leave the soccer, Harry Kane won't get much of a doing in England compared to the lads last year that missed the penalties.
Look, lads, the God Almighty, the man is human.
Yeah.
A great club professional, you know, behaves himself very well on and off the field, and the same with the international side. You know, he didn't go up to kick that ball over the cross, but he went up to put that ball in the back of the net to take England extra time.
Just to show you the
Do you know?
various of sport, Johnny.
Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, right. That's great. You know, it has kept us entertained anyway. It has been good outside of anything else and all the other rubbish that goes on around Qatar. Okay, so we'll move on to GA, lads, and it's kind of a mix of playing and off-field activities around conventions and championship formats and that. So I think, Pat, we had kind of we had postponed a few times talking about the football championship and the make-up of it. You had a little bit of work
this football. The football championship year is being restructured for next year.
Does it make sense?
Well, it puts more emphasis on the league for the lesser teams.
You have to perform.
Yeah, if you don't perform in the league, and obviously you won't be able to, if you don't get to provincial final, you mightn't be eligible to take part in the Sam Maguire. Yeah. So I suppose the easiest way to do it is to kind of explain it. It's connected to the league, really. So.
You have Division 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have 8 provincial finalists here in the 4 provinces are guaranteed a place in the All-Ireland series, right? Then together with the 2022 Talton Cup winners who are Westmeath, that was the prize for winning the Talton Cup, to give the lesser teams an incentive. They're automatically into the All-Ireland qualifier group, right? And then the top 7 rated teams in the league outside of the provincial finalists. That means 16 teams, 4 groups of 4. When the 4 group winners will automatically qualify for the All-Ireland quarter-finals, while the second and third teams play off for the remaining 4th places. So there's getting extra games for teams from each of the groups. And the second tier of the 16 counties team will play in the Telton Cup. Obviously, if you're 16 in the Premier, if you can call it that, the other 16 are on the Telton Cup.
Yeah.
And they make up, that's made up with the bottom 16 teams. And that'll also be played in a round robin in 2023, 4 groups of 4 as well.
Yeah,
So
you're guaranteed 3 games.
each county, as you say, Johnny, rightly, will have 3 games. 1 at home, 1 away, and 1 a neutral venue.
Okay.
So the league football finals will remain despite the CCC
There was
hoping to disband them. Yeah, they were going to give the league title to whoever topped the division, but that was voted down. So the league football final, Jerry, is only 1 week away from the start of the
championship.
Yeah, so if you get to that, like, unless you won the top teams. Now, the draw was made for the Munster and the Leinster and Ulster championships as well. There, come weeks ago. The quarter-finals there are Tip and Watford, Cork and Clare, and the semi-finals then are Limerick and the winners of Cork and Clare. Tipperary or Watford play Kerry. So Kerry and Cork are kept apart.
Yeah. I'd imagine.
It's not such a. It's not such a. Yeah, they'd be happy with the draw.
Yeah, that brings us kind of neatly onto Clare before we go on to rest the draw. There's a few changes in the backroom team and there's a few changes in players. Sligo coach Jerry McGowan is gone after 2 years.
Right.
He was a very good coach.
Damn right.
Now this Brian Carson is back. He was with him before Jordan Colm Collins' time. Colm is staying for his 10th year. A fair...
relief.
Exactly, yeah. Declan O'Keefe, Jerry's gone as goalkeeping coach, to be replaced by Joe Hayes, who's gone from the Tipperary setup. Joe was down in Tipperary. There's another assistant coach in, the native of Down, called Mark Dordan.
That's right.
So he's in as assistant coach, and Ron Mulcahy is gone as strength and conditioning coach, to be replaced by Michael Cahill. I know it's Michael or Micheál Cahill, but he was there before as well during one of Collins' earlier years. Then player side, 2 good servants. Kevin Hartnett is retired, and Sean Collins.
That's right.
Well, Kevin was plagued by injury there for the last couple of years. You know,
believe it or not, Johnny, Kevin started in 2012.
Yeah.
With Clare, and Sean Collins started in 2008. Now, I know he took a break and joined the Hurlers in 2013, 12-13 with Fitzy, then went back to football. But that's tremendous commitment every year, hurling football at that level, Willie, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
You know,
fantastic.
And they've also lost a couple of other players, Gerard. Terson O'Callaghan, the goalkeeper, he's gone to Australia. And Conor Jordan, he was from Kerry with connections in Clare. He's also gone to Australia. That just shows the amount of people that's immigrating either for 6 months or 12 months or a year. Players all over the country is unbelievable since COVID.
They're all going.
Well, you see, they were tied down for the 2.5 years. They couldn't go.
And David Turbidge is undecided about his future. As of now, he's taking a break. So there's a couple of new players in, Darren Nagle of Liscannor.
Oh yes.
Shane Griffin of Lissy Casey, and Cahill Downs from O'Curry. It's great to see someone from O'Curry's in the senior panel. So, like we always say, great credit to Collins for staying on.
Like when you look at David Turby, like just to have him inside your dressing room.
Yeah, if
he was trained, look at if you're only getting 10 or 15, 20 minutes out of him, but just to have him inside in a dressing room with young players.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, he's known the country over, like.
He's very respected.
He's respected.
Highly respected.
He's doing great work with doing big at juvenile level as well. Of course,
rightly so, he's respected.
Top scorer ever in the league.
Yeah.
You know, the Connacht draw was very lopsided, unfortunately. You have Galway, Roscommon and Mayo stuck on one side of it. So Jesus, like either one of New York, Leitrim, London or Sligo will be in the Connacht final, really.
Yeah.
So it's I would say unfortunate, but Jesus, like Galway, Roscommon, Mayo one side of draw.
Just it gives a chance to the weaker county to get through to the final.
I know it does, but you have. I know it does, but
it makes it a terrible final. Now the other side of it is, while that's going on before the final, doesn't that make it very exciting on that side?
Roscommon are playing Mayo in the quarters. One of them is going to be gone.
Well, what about the provincial? It just tells those 3 teams in particular how well did they have to perform in the league.
Yeah, that's right. The pressure will be on them.
You know,
in the league.
New York are playing Leitrim and London are playing Sligo. So Galway are waiting the winners of Roscommon and Mayo.
So you have a new manager in Roscommon, new manager in Mayo. You have Kevin McStay in Mayo, haven't you?
Like the thing about it is, Paddy, is the 2 teams there. We said the 4 teams in particular: Sligo, Leitrim, New York, and who was the other one? You said
London.
Like
Well, you can probably discount London and New York.
Possibly, but just the chance they have
I know,
of progressing.
Yeah.
Do you know that isn't Galway they're playing, looking at getting the Hyde and Mayo they're playing,
they'll
you
be
know,
delighted.
Galway they're playing.
Yeah.
Do you know, they'll be delighted.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe some people would suggest that it should be seeded to keep the big powers, you know.
You see, well, we had it in fairness, we had it in Munster for years, you know, and for a finish like it was removed.
Yeah. And in Ulster, Armagh playing Antrim in the preliminary. Then you have Fermanagh and Derry, Tyrone and Monaghan. That'll be a good game down in Donegal. Donegal are entering the season without Michael Murphy. And then you've Cavan.
Well, Michael Murphy, Pat.
What
can you say about Michael Murphy?
Yeah, we shouldn't fit it.
One-man show there. Donegal.
He was a Donegal machine, you know. Play him anywhere. Full forward, midfield,
And
centre forward.
I missed out on that. Is he retired?
Yeah, retired, And Ross Munnelly retired as well. He played for Laois for years.
There was no big fanfare with Michael Murphy.
That's right, and the same as Ross Munnelly. Did Ross Munnelly play hurling, Pat?
I don't know that.
I think you're right. I do.
I have a funny feeling when we used to referee Laois and Kerry, Ross Munnelly used to play.
I was just about to say that he played hurling for Laois.
I think so,
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know, do we mention it? The Sky have cut ties with GA. They failed to agree a new deal with RT,
which is great.
GA, sorry, and it means that I think Ayr will have more games. Obviously, Gigi Cahill and RT, and Des Cahill is leaving the Sunday game after 15 years.
That's right.
And I think I'm not surprised he's gone, because I saw an interview done in the paper some weeks ago, earlier in the year, and he wasn't.
I'd reckon the whole Sunday game is going to change, Pat. Is there a Monday game now as well?
I think there's talks of having a Monday game.
I don't think he was too happy with the setup.
No.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons.
You're not going with his reasoning that he likes to get out to the games, like.
No, he
misses that as well. He'll tell you that. He was spoke to him, like, he'll tell you that.
Yeah. You know. And the Clare hurlers are getting their season off to start the 8th of January. They're playing Tipperary, Nina, dinner at home with Davies, Waterford below the bridge the following week. They're in the group with obviously Tipperary and Waterford, and the other group for the Munster League is
Cork, Kerry and
Limerick. Great shirt for young Rogers was sent to the launch from Clare, like, so.
That's right.
That's lovely to see, you know.
An interview and all, and spoke very well. So it's fantastic. Rogers, young McCarthy and like Meehan will be back from injuries this year. There'll be a big throw into Clare. It's going to be very hard to get into that Clare forward line, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, you should throw in Shane O'Donnell and whatever.
Tony Kelly.
And Tony Kelly.
Yeah. But isn't it great to be talking that way? I think it's better Rogers is getting, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he gave an exhibition against us, and I don't care who you were playing. He looked fantastic. You just had to throw your hands up and say, wow.
And the GPA have negotiated a nice deal for themselves, for their members. They're now getting 70 cents a mile for 7,000 miles. And also...
And they've agreed on the number of training sessions.
Yeah, 4 collective training sessions. And if 2 or 3 more players travel together, it is €1 a mile they're getting.
But the thing about Paddy is, you know, when you see, okay, there's a big change in the cost of fuel now at the minute, compared to what it was, we'll say, this time last year, and even a month ago and 6 weeks ago. Like, if you're away, like, and you're driving back, you know,
lads are away.
You know, they are away.
They are expected to.
It drops to 40 cents after 7,000 miles.
Well, look at it. It's, you know,
it's something.
They met us some bit of the way anyway.
It's agreed, and
it's already agreed,
Yeah.
You know, so Parsons is happy enough for it anyway. Yeah.
So the other thing about the hurling lads is congratulations to Keith Smith, Ian Mack, and to Ronan O'Connor.
Yes, fantastic. Mack was captain, Ger. Fair achievement now,
with the freshers, And I suppose we better not leave out the O'Gunlow man, Gerard Sheedy. He was suffering with illness. He wasn't able to play.
Was that why, Johnny?
That's why he wasn't.
Well, in fact, I wouldn't blame him. The same night shot to the.
And Ger, I see there's a rake of Clare players involved. Fitzgibbon will be starting up. Arden Sharrower is back in college.
Is he back in college?
Yeah, which he's LIT. So
the funny about it is because I've often said to the people, you know, if they were doing that there one afternoon, they're usually played around 2 o'clock,
That's right,
roughly.
Yeah.
To be world about your animals while to go in and
games.
see some of the
And
games.
a lot of them are being streamed as well, Johnny.
I didn't know that, but as I said to you before, you can be at being at home.
It gives players from different counties a chance to play with each other, and in fact,
of course.
you could have players from the same club playing on 2 different teams.
Yeah.
You know.
And I suppose 2 other things, lads, in the GA. We had a convention the other night, and Kieran Keaton obviously was, you know, still chairman. We had an election there, but we had Sean Chambers held on to the assistant treasurer.
Yeah.
Michael O'Neill is the central council delegate.
Yes.
He defeated Robert Frost. And
was the vote disclosed, Ger? Do you know, or was it?
It was 96-86.
Was it close enough? Just close enough. So okay.
And Joe Gary is the new Irish officer.
Flanny's gone, is he?
He's 5 years up. Flann went for coaching.
Neil O'Brien got that.
Defeated Flann into coaching.
Was there much?
There was a fair bit. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And the chairman wants an all-weather pitch in Carlow, and is one of his major aims for the coming year.
I think it has to be done, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a big
Like you see the price. You see the price you're paying every night you go in there, Ger. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
And then locally, the under-21 hurling is still on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Fecal Kinane lost.
Oh, Pat, you can fill us in because I had him tipped to win that this year.
Yeah, they were 1-4 down Johnny early in the game, and they were fighting. Trying to chase it from there on. They were beat a point. Kinmely wasn't expected. They're a very youngish team. Fecal Kinane were more experienced. They were expected
because
at least to get to the final
because
anyway.
I refereed them there a few weeks ago above against Clooney Quinn.
Yeah, they had big scores put up and stuff.
And
they had.
I was impressed with them now the way they played.
Yeah.
They just got a best start.
It was played above in October, and even the start was delayed with the fog. And
that's right.
it was that but.
And then Bradford beat Tulla on the other side.
Yeah. There wasn't much in it.
Point again,
Yeah, Tulla beat Rogue in the previous round by a point in a close encounter as well. So Bradford and Kinmely, and Farrell is playing great stuff for Bradford.
Yeah, he's a gem of a player.
In the A then we have semi-finals.
Yeah, Scariff Gunlow and Clarecastle, Aine Killamone and Corofin Ryan.
And it's amazing, 2 of those teams were beaten in the first round.
Well, the Aine Killamone
and Clarecastle.
We did them ourselves, and then we next to try. And in fact, the way they played against Trinidad the first day, Johnny, either team could have won. So Aine Killamone have come through the loser section.
Yeah, because I actually did Corofin Ryan and Clarecastle the first day, and Corofin Ryan won by 10-12 points.
And Jared, the final is down for next Friday.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock or something today, 23rd, so 2 days before Christmas.
Apparently, for fear the weather isn't favourable, we'll say Sunday, the UL is on standby and being told for the game. Now, having gone back to because I was very disappointed with our county board that they didn't pull the plug here on the games this Friday night. I mean, everyone knew what the forecast was ahead.
That's right.
The state of the pitches, because I had even checked the Bradford pitch like we said the day before, and it was like walking on the table there, you just couldn't.
And like the soccer crowd, pulled all the fixtures.
Friday night, and the rugby pulled on Friday night. And the other side of it, was that 25 past 12 when I got a text to say that my game at 1 o'clock was our half one. Now that game was originally fixed for 11 o'clock on the Sunday morning in Bradford, Partine Mealig against Whitegate. And in fairness to the secretary to the manager from Partine, he rang me and they had checked the pitch after me, and they had the same. I just said, look, I said, I can't say that the pitch is unplayable now because it's only after 11 o'clock. I said, we have to wait till the half one.
Yeah.
So, as I say, everyone's day was gone. Every referee's day, his umpires, his line were gone.
Sure.
Whereas if we had known on the Friday night or even the Saturday morning, we could have planned to shopping or whatever on the Sunday.
Yeah,
small bit disappointing.
I was waiting to be collected for the Ghost's match.
Well, there you go.
He was doing.
That's why he was doing Mealig. Yeah,
it was only called off after 12 o'clock.
And I was even worried asking my umpires to drive to the venue, under the conditions.
And it was well forecasted what was coming,
So I mean, now I have to say our administrator Johnny McMahon might have taken a handle on this, but Shawnee wasn't available the weekend. He was away. So thrown off all the heads
whatever is left goes ahead, and they'll probably be finished for Christmas. So thanks very much for all that. We'll wrap up at this stage, lads, and I just want to finish off by promoting the Scariff Bay Community Radio calendar for 2023, available at all local good outlets and from volunteers. Willie, Pat and Johnny, thanks a million, lads. Have a good Christmas. We'll see you later on.
Our pleasure, thanks.